Greetings! Welcome to Channel Other Doc. I am Jim. I use he/him pronouns. And today we are playing For the Queen by Alex Robert. This is a game where we'll be telling Alex Roberts. This is a game where we'll be telling the story of members of a royal court accompanying their monarch on a mission to engage with a foreign power. I have never had a chance to actually play this game before. I have seen it played many times, and I am excited to get into it. Let us go around and we'll introduce everybody. I think, yes, that's right. I would like you to just say who you are and any particular favorite or thing that you like that is a story-focused RPG. Or an RPG that has been made to focus on story, or just a game you liked. We can do that. I'll start with Kelly. Hello!
Hello! I'm Kelly, Kelly, and on Twitter, you can find me there. You can find me here. You can find me on Scroticus Academy. My okay, so if I'm talking RPGs in the grand scheme of RPGs, I stand Horizon Zero Dawn.
I've not actually tried that one.
If it counts as like a story focused, I think it's story focused because I play all video games on story mode.
Well, there we go.
Because hard things are for people that are better at them than I am.
That counts.
But that's my favorite game.
Awesome. Very cool. And now let us move on to Max. Hello.
Hey, I'm Max. I don't really have anything to plug, but my favorite story-based RPG is probably Tales of Symphonia because it's one of the 5 games I've ever completed.
Excellent. Cool. Awesome. I actually have to check all these out. Let us move now on to Sam. Hello.
Oh, hi, I'm Sam, smallish Sam. I use she/her pronouns. I don't know if this counts, but I don't know if you've played this game or not, Jim, but there's a game called A Penny for My Thoughts.
Oh, I don't know. That sounds familiar.
Sounds a little familiar. Great story RPG.
That is delightful. For those of you watching and wondering what we're talking about, there is coincidentally enough, there's a video on this very channel, a highlight from a little while back of a game called A Penny for My Thoughts, where someone, one of the mental patients on it, for we were all mental patients, bears a very strong resemblance to Sam. It was a delightful game. Now let us move on to Anti-Stud. Hello.
Hey, I'm Andy Stud. Favorite story-driven RPG. First one that comes to mind has to be some of the earlier Fire Emblem games. I got hooked on it with Path of Radiance on the GameCube in like 2005. Gosh, that makes me feel old. But I just love the story, man.
Oh, very cool. It's nice. I'm trying to work through. I have not been good about it lately, but I've been trying to work through Torment, Tides of Numenera on this channel, which has a very nice amount of story behind it. Unfortunately, I'm at a point where I'm having to repeat stuff, so it's taken me a while to get back to it. Hopefully soon, but we shall see. Favorite story-based RPG for me, I think, is still probably Fiasco. I cannot stop myself. One of my missions in life is to play as much Fiasco as possible. But that's my problem. Let us get on to this thing. Now, like we do with most games on this channel, we're going to be using the X card, the N card, and the O card. If we hit something that's crossing a line for one of the players, any of them can type an X in the Zoom video chat or anywhere else, or make an X symbol, and we'll back up and we'll do something else. If something happens that you're okay having in the game, but you don't want a graphic description of it, type an N in the Zoom chat and we'll fade to black on it, or put it behind a veil. So it'll be there, but we won't go into detail. Finally, if you're exploring a topic or area of roleplay that's particularly intense for you, but you want to keep going, you can put an O in the chat to let us know you're okay and that we're good to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is put an O with a question mark after it when we're moving into a difficult topic or say or do something and then think maybe that might be a little too much. Then everyone else can respond to that and just let us know if we're still doing okay. Interestingly enough, this game incorporates the X card into its mechanics. It's actually just sort of core in there, and I think it's very cool that Alex Roberts did that when she put this thing together. In this game, it's actually a little, it's even a little broader of mandate than some folks use it for. It's pretty much anything. If you hit a question and you don't want to, and you just don't want to answer it and don't want to pass it to anyone else, you can exit and we can just go on to the next card. Easy, no problem. So, now I think I have set all the text stuff up for this correctly. This is the first time I've used this game in Roll20 as it's set up. But I've got some notes down here I'm going to look at as we're reading through the instructions, which they say to do. So what we're going to want to do as we are starting our setup, part of this is we take turn reading the instructions of the game. And so the way that we do that is we're going to hover over the bottom deck there, the green one, that has the instructions, and hit the choose option. Everyone should have the choose option. And that'll show all of the different instruction cards in order. And so we'll just go around, each reading a card in turn. I'll kind of note where we can ignore number 7. That's one of the things it says here, apparently, because of the formatting here. But everything else will just sort of go around in the same order we did before. If let's see, the way that I actually have us positioned on the screen, I'm in the middle, is the way I have this in my head. So Kelly, would you like to start?
Sure. Once I get unmuted.
Sorry.
So I'll just read card number 1.
Yeah.
Which just says go around the table clockwise, taking turns reading the cards aloud.
Well, there we go. So yeah, Max, you go ahead and click on number 2 there, and it'll be there.
All right. The land you live in has been at war for as long as any of you have been alive.
Okay. And next is the Queen has decided to undertake a long and perilous journey to broker an alliance with a distant power. And next we go to Sam.
It says the Queen has chosen all of you and no one else to be her. Oh no, how do you pronounce that?
Retinue.
Thank you, retinue, and accompany her on this journey.
Okay. And Antistud.
She chose you because she knows that you love her.
And we go back around to Faye.
You are welcome to look through the Queen cards for inspiration. If there is one that seems right for the group, place it on the table to inspire your story.
All right, and we're apparently skipping number 7, so Max, you're going to want to go to number 8.
Shuffle the red prompt cards and place them face down in the center of the table.
Okay, and that's been done. Put the Queen is under attack card in the middle of the deck for a gameplay that takes approximately 30 minutes, or shuffle it into the bottom third of the deck to play for an hour or more. It says, I have already done that.
When you have read the instruction cards, continue clockwise with the red prompt cards. Take turns reading the cards out loud. Interpret these questions and answer them however you wish.
And instead, you can grab number 11.
Sorry. Other players may ask you questions or make suggestions on your turn, but whether you answer those questions or include those suggestions is entirely up to you.
Okay.
Place the X card somewhere everyone can easily reach it, which is done.
Automatic. Excellent.
If you encounter a card or an answer that you don't want to be included in the game, tap the X card. That content is removed from the game.
Yeah, and they give an additional instruction here that on Roll20, you can just click and hold down the mouse over on the X card, and that'll highlight it, or you can just say, I want to X card that. It's basically how whatever convention works. Let's see. What was that, 13? Yes. 14. If you draw a card that is removed this way, simply draw another card. You can X a card that you drew yourself if you want. Or basically, anyone can X any card that gets drawn if they need to.
You can also pass on your turn. To do so, give the prompt card you drew to the next player and say, I'd like to hear your answer to this question.
A prompt card can be passed around the table until someone applies the X to it.
Dang it. Continue answering, passing, and Xing questions until the queen is under attack card is drawn.
Okay.
Each player should answer that question in turn. Then the game is over.
Okay. And whoever wants to can draw the first prompt card. That's how that works. Let's see. What card is this?
So first we need to select a queen.
Yes. So we need to do that. Let me, It's gone. I thought I saw a card for a moment. Perhaps I was hallucinating. Let's see. So, yeah, what we can do is, as far as it's chosen a queen, we can basically just choose a queen from the deck, or we can. Let me see how many we've got in here. We have several. Yeah, I'm perfectly happy to just have everyone look at the queens in the deck and just hit the choose button and sort of see if there are any in there that you like. Max, did you end up picking up a queen card?
I did. I don't know what to do with it, but
Okay.
I picked one.
Actually, I can grab it. Let me go ahead and recall all. There we go. There we go. So, we got all these. We have a lot of different ones to choose from here. Are there any that strike anyone's fancy?
Are you just looking at the full deck?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the full deck right now.
Yeah, we only have the draw option. At least I only have the draw
Oh,
option.
you only have the draw option?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, hang on. Let me fix that. Oh, no, I just keep drawing. Hold on. Let me fix that in the deck here. Queen cards. D. Players can... let's see. Discard pile, no players played facing considered. This doesn't have... Oh, that's weird. And I should be able to go in here in permissions and affect it, but it's not letting me do that. So, in that case, let's see. Players see number of cards, front of cards. Consider drawing, played facing, place up, discard pile, no discard pile. GM choose, shoot friends, the last one. Oh, okay, hang on. GM and players choose. There we go. Let's try that again. All right. You should all now get the choose option in there.
Ah, yes.
I'm going to go ahead and recall the
There we
ones that have
go.
been pulled in. Oh, okay, they're still in there. All right.
Hmm.
I really like let's see. I'm like spooky ones, obviously. So I really like this all in black queen, but I also like the one above her. I think this queen above has is more neutral. She doesn't imply kind of any one particular type of ruler. So I think that's kind of fun.
No, I like the evil one.
This the all in black.
Horns?
Yeah.
Oh, the one with the horns.
Either
The
or.
black shroud.
The black shrouded one.
Yeah, any of them could be evil, really, or any of them could be.
Yeah.
So yeah, the one that's shrouded in darkness with like the you can only see the crown. That one.
Yeah.
That one too.
Yeah, I'm good with that one.
Yeah, I think we seem to be gravitating toward that one.
I don't know what that says about us as people.
I have thoughts, but
Either her or the very last one in the deck because she looks badass. The one with the big scepter.
Very true.
Now, I'm just going to, for purposes of cleaning this up, I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, my roll 20 is acting weird, so I'm going to try something. Yeah, okay. We know which one we're getting. Let me reload my roll 20 here because apparently there's a thing happening. Yeah. So let's see how this is going. And of course I gotta wait for it to come back in. Okay, there we go. Excellent. Cool. All right. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. So, I guess it says to go clockwise, but I guess we can just keep going in the order we've been going in, if that's all right with folks. Who wants to go first? And if you want, I can by way of demonstration, or anyone who has the urge may feel free to leap in here.
I kicked off reading the instructions. I can go first since I've played before.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So, the queen lights a fire in you. What is it? I think for me, the queen, let's see. I think this queen motivates me essentially to kind of seek justice. Maybe some people would say retribution. Or my character kind of believes in seeking out those that have done harm to queen and country and bringing them to justice by whatever means necessary.
So I have a question.
Okay.
Was there something in particular that you that she did or saw you do that kind of made that click for you?
I think there was I think she basically presided over kind of a trial where a spy was found in the ranks, and the spy was from a neighboring kingdom, and they had some of the spy's actions had resulted in the death of someone close to me, a friend of mine. And the queen sought the spy out and brought them to a swift end. And I saw kind of the power of the queen's justice there, and it felt very satisfying. And this friend's family were very grateful for that justice.
Cool. Does anyone else have any questions? All right. And Max,
Would you say that you think the queen is just?
I think she has expanded my idea of what just means.
I said,
Yeah. So the question was, do I think the queen is just? I think yes, but that's because it's a very loose definition of justice.
yeah.
Nice. Okay, Max, it's your turn to draw from the red deck.
Let's see.
Go ahead and drag it out over into that square there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And actually, you can take it out of... Yeah, that works. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh,
What happened? Oh, did you end
I
up
think
with
I
two?
dragged.
I
There we
think
go.
multiple cards got drawn.
You arranged. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I got rid of the other one. So now it should just be this one.
Okay.
You arranged for the queen to be ambushed on this journey. What did they offer you? I think they offered me a chance to see the queen's face. I think, yeah, because I think that's kind of. I think I'm driven by the mystery of learning more about the queen, and I don't necessarily know that I planned on the ambush succeeding, but I think they offered me the chance to kind of see the queen's face, and I took it.
Ooh. That's good.
Why do people not get to see the queen's face?
I think part of it is part of her power is that mystery of not knowing what she looks like, not knowing anything about her. I think all we really know is that she is the queen and her word is law.
Have you ever wondered if it's the same queen?
All the time. I think that's the question that keeps me up at night.
Any
Because
more
as long as we can remember, it's been the queen and it's been the same queen. So I don't think anyone really knows whether or not, maybe there's one queen, maybe there's multiple queens. No one's really for certain.
Excellent. Any more questions? All right. Here we go. So the way this is set up, I have to deal it to myself, but that's okay. All right. Let's see. The queen touched you once. What about the memory of that will stay with you forever? Oh, that's a good one. The first direction I'm thinking of going is not the right direction. So... No, I think no, hell with it. I'm going to go with it. I hadn't decided who I'm playing, but I'm starting to. So she slapped me. It was interesting, because I did not then find myself beheaded. I was just doing my job, really, of kind of being an advisor, and I brought up. So, and I think she has sessions in which we cannot see her face, obviously, but we have these sessions in which we are encouraged to give our ideas freely when it comes to the security of the realm. And I did that, and she hit me in front of the other advisors because she was not very pleased with the idea that I put forth. But evidently she stuck to her rule and did not have me killed. and nothing was spoken of it afterward.
Does the Queen talk at all during these advisement meetings? Follow-up to that, has anyone heard the Queen speak?
I think some have, but probably very decidedly few. I mean, she theoretically must have had parents at some point, but she usually speaks through someone, and presumably she speaks with that individual who is considered her voice. I believe that is the title of the person, the Queen's voice. And that is the one with whom I was primarily having the argument. So I was rather surprised when the Queen herself rose up and slapped me across the face.
Has the Queen hit other people before?
Not that I'm aware of.
You said you were surprised that she slapped you and then you weren't beheaded. Why?
Well, it seemed as though as though my suggestion inspired her ire. Somewhat. She was clearly not pleased with the idea that I put forth. And, I have seen her mete out justice. It's a very loose definition.
What did it feel like when she slapped you? Like, was it a forceful slap?
You know, she's there was a little bit of bruising, I think, afterward, just a little. She has a it was not a backhanded slap, but she has a good swing. But it didn't. I wasn't hurt so much as shocked. And I don't know, it's a thing I have to think about, but part of me kind of liked it.
Does the Queen execute people, or does she have an executioner?
Well, I mean, there are stories about her just gazing at someone. There are stories that she's gazed at people unmasked and that's killed them. But she does have an executioner. It's the executions are very popular. There a lot of vendors get a lot of their business that way. Any more questions? Okay, it's to Sam.
Okay. Oh, this one. Where did it go? There it is. Okay. What do you usually do for the royal family? And why does that make you an unlikely choice for this journey? Oh, this isn't centered. This is gonna bug me. I think that I'm probably like, I would like to think I'm like the cook or something. I'm the cook, and so you usually don't bring the cook on journeys with you. I think that probably wherever they're going doesn't have a reputable chef, and so they wanted to bring somebody that they could trust, which just so happened to be me.
What does she like to eat?
Have you ever seen the Queen eat?
Go ahead.
Okay. No, I've never seen the Queen eat, but oh gosh, what does she like to eat? I don't know what sophisticated meals are. As outside of character.
What does she like to order?
I think so. I think she's surprisingly carnivorous. So she likes a lot of like steak and pork. Really any way you can prepare meat is what she likes to eat.
What is the most exotic or strange thing that you have prepared for her?
I mean, she's asked me to prepare like some like strange animals, I would say. And so like I know in like America, you know, escargot is strange, right? And so probably something like that. So like a dish of just like beetles and stuff, like things you wouldn't think to be eaten. Yeah.
Why does she trust you enough to prepare her food?
Because I'm amazing at preparing food.
But how does she know you're not gonna like kill her?
I've been her cook for a while now. It's been many years. My father was a cook, and so I kind of got brought up in this business. So she's literally known me my entire life, and I've been in that kitchen since I could, you know, stand and walk and cook.
I'm sorry, I'm still not over her eating beetles. Or maybe not eating beetles, because we've never seen her eat.
Yeah, I don't know if she ate them or not, but there were no complaints to me.
Did any of the beetles escape?
Yes. But the answer my public answer is no.
Ah, yeah.
The reality is yes.
Now, keep in mind, you can refuse to answer our questions if you.
I know, but I absolutely, yeah, I know. It's too much fun, though.
Has the queen ever complained about a meal?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, I thought I just drew a card, but
Yeah, it's in your
wait,
hand,
there it is.
so you can just click on it and you can
Okay.
drag it out onto the table. Ooh.
When
This is a
did
good
you
one.
know you were in love with the queen? Oh boy. I think I kind of want to go real sappy with this. I think it was when I saw a lock of her hair. And it was surprisingly light, like very, very fair blonde. And okay, this has gone from sappy to obsessive. This has gone from sappy to obsessive in my head because I saw that hair, I thought it was just a steady spiral of obsession from there. Like what if she looks like something else, this, and what if she looks like this, or what if she looks like this, and it's just been a steady spiral to the point of I wouldn't call it love. It's really more lust at this point. I'm in lust with the idea of her, not her herself, because I want to know the answer to this mystery. I'm in love with the mystery, not the person, and I just haven't realized that yet.
Under what circumstances did you see that stray hair?
Ooh. I think just one time I was outside while the maids were, or maybe I had a view of the maids. No, I would have probably had to get pretty close. So I would have been outside, like maybe as a punishment or something. I was looking over the maids or helping the servants with the laundry, something like that, and I just happened to see this long strand of hair, and no one else was blonde. No one there was blonde, so the first thing that came to my mind was, this is the queen's hair.
Does the queen know about your feelings?
I think she's perceptive enough to know, but I haven't been told that. The queen knows, but I don't know that she knows.
Do you think the queen also knows that you... Well, I guess let's start with, did you keep the piece of hair that you found?
Yes.
Do you think the queen knows that you have what you think is a piece of her hair?
I think so, because I imagine there would have been a good deal of gossip, like someone would have seen something. Like, maybe for half a day there was a lot of gossip about, there was little gossip among the servants and maids about that hair, and then it was just completely quiet after that. And there was no gossip for like 3 days. So, but yeah, I think she knows, or at least suspects.
Interesting.
All right. Any further questions?
Was it my turn again?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, card. Work with me. What did you bring with you to protect the queen? I think I'm actually... So here's how this went down. I was a member of like the city guard or something, and it was my friend that got screwed over by this spy. But I helped bring this spy to the queen, witness the queen's justice, and she promoted me to like a queen's guard. So I'm one of her like immediate guards people. So probably myself and my gear, right? I see myself as being the person to step in between anything and the queen, one of her kind of personal muscle.
Why do you think she promoted you?
I think during this it was two things. I was able to root out this spy, which indicated to her that I had some degree of intelligence. That I was at least mildly capable. She was more interested in the fact that I was capable of kind of those intelligent things than really like a good swords person. I'd say I'm probably not. It's probably why I didn't get her attention earlier. But I seemed like intelligent, and I think during this trial it was clear after the trial that I kind of fell into increased loyalty to the queen, that I probably told everyone that would listen about how wonderful what she did was, and how great her justice is. So she had this unending loyalty from me that made her feel like I was a good fit.
So what does your gear like entail? Like, is it just like standard sword and shield?
It's probably sword, shield, and chainmail. I imagine, though, that as I am walking around with it, it looks uncomfortable on me. It looks kind of unnatural because this is probably not my usual. It's probably what I got in the promotion, so it's not equipment that I'm used to dealing with. I imagine this shield and probably like a cloak that I have has like the big crest of this queen on it.
Now I realize that on this mission it's just us, but normally, how do you get along with the rest of the guard?
I'm the new guy and the tryhard, so not well. Right, like I too almost I have this weird degree of admiration. It's not the same kind of obsession that we've seen also has a role here, but like this extreme admiration for the queen and this draw to her, and I'm kind of constantly talking about how awesome she is. And so people just get kind of sick of me.
And it sounds like you really only had that one friend who was then, I guess, killed by the spy?
Yeah, I think so. I think my friend was killed by the spy. In fact, I think it was probably my friend who figured out who the spy was. I didn't actually have a whole lot to do with it. I was just kind of hanging out, helping, sidekicking. And so when they were found out when they found the spy found them too. But I happened to know as well, so I was able to have the spy turned in.
Does the queen know that finding the spy, really you only did like 20%, 30% of the work?
I don't think so. think that taking the credit for some of it was why I got the promotion in the first place. And there's nobody alive to say otherwise.
So, how well equipped do you think you actually are to protect the queen?
I'm not useless, right? Like, I am a member of the guard. I do know how to stab them with the pointy end. I have witnessed what it looks like to seek out a spy. So I think kind of straightforward threats, I'm fairly well prepared. I'm a good soldier. But political intrigue is not my skill set.
As the queen realizes this while you've been working for her.
I think she is beginning to have some doubts. I think she promoted me because she was desperate because of something that happened with one of her former guard. Maybe it was actually my friend who was her former Queen's Guard, who is now deceased, so she needed to fill the spot quickly, and she's starting to doubt her decision. Bringing me along is kind of like a test, I think.
So this is not a test you want to fail.
Hard nope.
Oh, man. We good?
Wait, so now that
Go ahead.
now that your friend is dead, do you not have any friends?
Correct. I was hoping I'd make new friends amongst the Queen's Guard, but they don't seem to have warmed to me yet.
And this trip is only us, so you really only have us to be friends with.
Yep.
Good luck with that.
Next.
Alright. Let's see if this works. I think I drew a card.
Yeah, looks like it.
Okay, there we go. How does the queen remind you of her status while on the journey? I think, so outside of like just the way she carries herself, I think it's very much in line with kind of what Jim said about her slapping him that one time. I think in the conversations that we have, she just kind of has this way of giving you, I guess, a look, although you can't really see her face, so you can't really see her eyes, but she has just this way of like giving you a look that lets you know that you're beneath her. And then I think the queen's voice kind of steps in and reminds you of your station and that you're here to serve the queen.
Is it always the same sort of look? Well, the same body language to communicate the look, or have you gotten
I think she has
multiple ways?
I think she has multiple, I guess, ways of kind of portraying it. I think there's definitely a difference between when she's giving you a look that says what you're doing or what you're saying is out of line, and like she has a look that says she's intrigued by your ideas, and then sometimes she just outright slaps you. So I think there's definitely a wide variety, and it's actually very impressive how detailed the body language can get and how much it can portray considering you can't see her face at all.
So is she periodically coming into... I guess while we're on this trip, is she always in view, or is she like inside a palanquin? How is she being conveyed on this journey for us to be able to see her?
I pictured like a palanquin. I can't imagine her riding like a horse with us. So I definitely think she kind of has her own carriage that's separate from us. And I would say for the most part, we don't see her. It would just be her and the Queen's voice in that carriage. And then maybe once or twice a day, whenever we stop, either the Queen's voice will come out and kind of relay any message that the Queen has for us, or we'll do one of those like kind of meetings where we all gather around.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go for the next card if we have no further questions. Ooh, when was the last time the Queen showed you real kindness?
Presumably before the slap.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Or maybe after by not beheading you.
Yeah, I'm trying not to give my... Nope, it's branding. So when, yeah, so when my son died, the voice actually came to the service we had. We had a private service, and she told me that the Queen was experiencing sorrow for my loss, and she really didn't have to do that. I'd never heard of her doing that with anybody.
Was this before or after she slapped you?
It was after.
How did that make you feel?
I was just about as surprised as when she'd slapped me. But yeah, I saw the voice there, and I didn't expect her to say anything to me, but she did. And afterward, I supposed that she did value my input after all.
How did your son pass? Like, was it related to something political, or was it just kind of like an illness?
So he was in the Guard, And I think I think Kelly's character replaced him.
Love that.
Oh,
And
oh.
he died in that whole debacle where they were trying to catch the spy.
But he wasn't the friend of Kelly's character? Or was he? Or are you going to give a Jim non-answer?
I think the intention was that he was the person that the spy killed, and Kelly's friend were and his son was the same person. I think.
They easily could have been. He didn't.
So you're going with option 3, a Jim answer.
I could. Actually, what I will say is, if it's okay with Kelly, I'll say that it was the same person.
Totes down.
So yes. And when she replaced him, I at least, was glad that it was someone that I kind of knew. I didn't really know her very well. But it was a little bit of a comfort that was happening. It was nice to see that going on, because I know that they got along really well.
Have you ever tried to talk to Kelly's character about the specifics of how your son died?
I have not. I've considered it, but in some ways, I think she understood him in a way that I didn't. And I, in part, because part of my job is that I am a security advisor. Granted, it's more on a national scale. But I kind of feel as though I failed him, and had I known him better, I perhaps would not have. I don't think I want to face that. And talking to her about it would mean that for me.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you partially blame her for the death of your child?
That was not her job. I don't blame her. I do wish she had stepped up and volunteered sooner.
So I guess timeline-wise, how long ago was the death of your son?
I'm not sure we're tying the events together, so I feel like it's only been like a handful of years, but maybe it's been a little longer.
Okay.
How long do we...
No, I'm thinking like a year or two.
Oh, okay, yeah, so just like a year. It has not been long.
Okay.
Do you feel Kelly's character is a suitable replacement in the Guard?
In the Guard? Hers is it's a choice that makes sense.
I sense a but.
I don't know that... Well... I know that the thing is, it's a different job to everyone, so she's going to do it differently. So it's not really... in a sense, each of the guards is irreplaceable. Because they each have their own approach to things. Yes, they are trained the same way by the captain of the guards. And such, but they bring... It is known that they bring their own life experiences to it. And I feel that's the case. So I think in terms of numbers, yes, absolutely. She's an adequate replacement. I just haven't really had an opportunity to see her truly tested yet. I think this trip will be that.
Are you looking forward to that?
I think so, actually. I want to know. It is important to me. Because in some sense, then, if she does well on this trip, then that will kind of be, I want to say is a good, it'll be a good legacy, if nothing else. That my son will be able to rest in peace knowing that. Any more questions? Okay, Sam. You are muted, I think.
Thank you. Apparently that's a thing. Thank you. Who is this distant power you are traveling to, and why do they make you uneasy? I'm going to answer the second part of that first. I think that even though I have grown up around royalty my entire life, I know that my place is always beneath them. And so anytime I am with any type of powerful figure or royalty, I am uneasy. I think that this is probably an ally that we're traveling to. I'm not sure as to why we're traveling. I don't really concern myself with questions. I just do as I'm told. So I never thought to ask. I was just told, we're going, and you're going with us. And I packed what I needed to and left.
Have you done any research on what they like to eat?
No, as far as I'm concerned, the reason I am here is in case the queen does not like their food. And so I will be cooking solely for the queen.
You said you were uneasy around all royalty. Does that include the queen?
Oh, absolutely.
Why?
Because she can easily end me.
Yeah.
My entire life is pretty much serving her, so I do best to not step out of line and not make mistakes, and that, yeah.
No.
So you said that your father was the queen's chef before. So does being the queen chef not come with any sort of privilege?
I mean, it comes with a little, housing and stuff, right? I do get to stay in the palace, but I'm still a servant.
How do you get along with the rest of the retinue? Are you kind of friendly with other people, or are you kind of keep to yourself?
I keep to myself, but like if or when people make conversation, I'm friendly about it. But I'm not going to be one to initiate any type of conversation, especially because I probably don't really know the other people. Like this isn't something I normally do. I feel like I shouldn't be here, and so I'm not going to draw attention to myself.
Are you worried you're not going to be able to get fresh ingredients when we're over there?
Yes, I'm very worried. I've rarely ever, if at all, traveled outside of the of our like immediate land slash like neighboring lands, and so I don't know what's going to be out there, or if they have anything. I don't know what their stock is like. I did bring some ingredients that are like non-perishables. I salted some meats to try to keep them fresh for the journey, or to keep them not going bad throughout the journey. But yes, fresh ingredients are in the front of my mind.
Has the Queen ever been disappointed with the meals so far on this traveling?
I think that's very close to have you ever gotten a complaint? So I'm going to give the same answer, which is I don't think I'm going to answer that question.
Okay.
We good?
What brings out the Queen's cruelty?
Ooh.
I think the primary thing is getting close to her without her permission. She doesn't like people getting close to her. She especially doesn't like people touching her. If you do that, you're at least going down in the dungeon for a few days at best. At worst, you're off to the chopping block.
So when she executes these people for touching her, does she make it known, like, of their crime?
Yes. She wants people to know that I will punish you for this. And there's still, the occasional servant that tries to, or attempts to. Maybe someone brushes a little too close in the hallway. and even that gets punished. Her
So
entire sorry, go ahead.
I was just so even accidental.
I think she's a little more lenient with the accidental ones, but they still get punished. Because everything about her is supposed to be a secret. And even that light touch can reveal some things.
Has it ever gotten to you seeing any of these things happen? Have there been any instances of that?
A few. A few. One manservant that served her meal and stood a little too close got hauled off to the dungeons. Another one that actually put a hand on her shoulder and also got thrown into the dungeons for significantly longer. It's why I haven't tried to get anywhere near her. I gaze from afar, so to speak.
I have a follow-up question.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever thought about, about this? How close are you allowed to get in your duties?
I think the guards are allowed fairly close, like within 4 or 5 feet. Servants are typically more like somewhere between 7 and 10 at best. The closest is the voice of the queen. They stand right next to her, and occasional touches from them are permitted, but even they typically are not allowed to touch the queen.
But how close would you be allowed to get if you wanted to?
Who, me? As part of her retinue, I think maybe a foot farther back than the voice could. So, like, closest of, like, 2 feet.
Does that make you nervous?
Yeah. And there's a part of me that wishes I could be closer, but I've seen how that gets punished. I'm obsessed, but I'm careful enough that I push the boundary. I push the boundary. Like, if the boundary's 2 feet, I'm like, maybe my toe is across that line, and that would be it. That's as far as close as I dare get.
A treasonous toe.
Any more questions?
So, are you aware that Jim's character got slapped?
I think so. I think it was discussed for it was definitely gossiped for a while, so I would have heard about it.
So, how do you feel about that?
A little jealous. Because the queen touched it. Not gonna lie, kinda wish that was me.
So I take it you weren't in that meeting since you heard about it afterward.
Uh, Probably not. No, I don't see myself as an advisor.
Any more questions? All right, then. We are going to go to break for a little bit, like 5-10 minutes, and we shall be back to see how this continues to unfold. We will see you shortly. we have returned. And it is now Kelly's turn to turn over a card.
Ah, too many buttons. Okay, hold on. Draw a card. Oh. The queen knows something about you that no one else does. What is it? I'm gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna pass this card. I don't think this is a good card for my character.
Alright.
So then it goes to Max, I believe, unless he
Yep.
wants to pass as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Queen knows something about me that no one else does. I think what the queen knows about me is, I guess, I would say how willing I am to kind of solve a mystery or better understand something. I think that's part of why the queen has kind of like, I guess the best way to put it is like a chief science officer kind of. But I would say that the queen knows just how ambitious I am and how far I'm willing to take things, that I would say how morally loose I am is probably the best way to put it. Yeah, and I think she uses that to her favor, but she's also very understanding that, and I also am very understanding that if I go too far, she will have me put down, essentially.
Ooh. Do you have a specialty to a type of science that you do?
Let's see. I don't think it's a specific kind of science. I think it's just I think it's just that I am very inquisitive and I want to know more about things I don't understand. So when it comes to like military sciences and like weaponry and things like that, if another country has something that we don't have yet, then I need to have that and figure it out so that I can do it better. Or if there's like an illness that is affecting our crops, I need to figure that out, just more for like a personal ego thing than a good of the people. It just happens to work for the queen.
Nice.
How did she figure this out about you?
I don't think it's something. I don't think it's something that it's a secret. I think by my nature, I'm very braggadocious about my accomplishments. So I would say, maybe it was like some type of plague or something, what was causing it, and worked out a solution, or some type of like bioengineered plant that's resistant to it. So I think that's kind of what first got her attention. And then I would always just kind of approach her and ask for more information, more resources, more access to things that a normal like just a normal scientist wouldn't ask for access to.
Have you ever gone too far in the past?
I think it depends on who you're asking. I think if you're referring to, does the Queen think I've ever gone too far? I would say no, but there's definitely been some human experimentation. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's like torture or anything like that, but things have definitely been tested on people without their consent.
Hmm. Do you have any crazy ideas or theories that you test, or are you just a facts man?
I would say that I have a lot of crazy theories about the Queen, but those aren't really things that I can test, unless I like set up an ambush, maybe. But I would say that I'm more of a facts man, so I typically approach things with like a hypothesis and then test that hypothesis. Yeah.
Do you remember a time where you got close to that line with the Queen, where you thought she might smack you down, and what did you do?
Yeah, I think it was the very first time I kind of approached her for what I guess, yeah, like human testing. I think it was also related to kind of agriculture and the testing of these more like pest resistant crops. I would say that I tried to get her to eat it. Like I tried to not poison her because I was certain that it wouldn't kill her, but other side effects I wasn't sure. And so I would say that I brought her some with the intent of her to eat it, and she did not take kindly to that. But she then kind of helped me find other people, or provided me with other people who were, I guess, less knowledgeable.
You know, you've seemed very confident in the Queen's ability to not die. And I'm wondering if you have a particular theory in that regard.
Well, so I don't think she would have died from the plants. As far as the Queen not dying, I think my current theory is that the Queen is more of just a puppet for the Queen's voice. That's the current theory that I'm working with. Yeah, because I think we've seen the Queen's voice be replaced, but we've never seen the Queen, and we've only the Queen's voice gives the rulings. So I don't think we've ever actually seen like the Queen will do all of the, I guess, like body language and things like that and whisper maybe to the Queen's voice, but I don't think we've ever actually seen the Queen give an order.
Did you say we've seen more than one Queen's voice? Okay.
Not in our lifetime. I think it's one Queen's voice per like queen, essentially. Which is why I think Queen's voice is the one that's making the decisions. But this is all just a theory that I have.
Yeah. No way to tell. Nice.
Sorry, Kelly. Are any of the people that you're traveling with, have they been subject to any of your more questionable testing?
I don't think I'm going to answer that.
Power move right there.
Well, that doesn't make me worried at all.
Since you are
You're not dead, so.
that we know of. So, since you're a man of science, do you have you looked into if the queen has actually changed ever? Like, have you ever considered if we actually even have a new queen compared to maybe the generation before?
Yeah, I think that's something that I've definitely looked at and continue to look into. And as far as I can tell, the description of the queen has always been the same. So kind of tall, slender, all black, same. The queen, while I still don't really understand everything behind the queen, I don't think that the queen herself changes. Yeah. But I think because of the history that the kingdom has, and there's definitely been distinct changes in rules and how things have been run, I would say that's why I kind of believe that it's the voice and not the queen.
What did you have to do to get that information? Because I imagine that all that is pretty tightly kept.
Yeah, it's definitely not public access. You just kind of have to know the right wheels to grease, the right people to talk to, the right libraries to get access to. But it's all in the palace, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
We good? Alright. I'm gonna draw a card. What part of this journey will be the most difficult? How will you pull the rest of the retinue through it? I almost actually want to hand this question off to Sam. Just to see. Yes, let's do that. I'd like to see Sam's answer to this question.
Thanks. I'm going to give the most in-character answer. The lack of good cooking utensils on the journey itself is the most difficult for me personally. I am a woman of sophisticated palate, and I cannot deal with the limited tools that I have. However, I will still cook all of you guys great meals. And that is how I will pull the rest of you through it. Because what is bad to me is generally pretty great to, it's above average.
So would you say that this is more like foraged food, or are we dipping into kind of the stuff that we've brought, or is there hunting going on?
There's probably a little bit of hunting and foraged food. I am trying as best I can to not dip into any of the food that we have brought. Although, likely, when we hunt food, I essentially replace, like I swap out the food that I brought with that food, so as to always keep the freshest food, right? To limit how much food will be spoiled. So the freshest food will be stored, but I try to at least try to always keep a ample supply of food for us so that we will not go hungry.
How much does the queen typically eat? Like, how much do you have to prepare for her for the average meal?
I may get my head chopped off if I say.
So the queen doesn't eat with us, but does she take her meal with us?
No, I have to prepare. I prepare her food before I prepare yours, and she eats before you guys get your food.
Does the queen have a taster?
I don't know. I deliver the food. I don't deliver the food. I give the food to somebody to deliver to her. So I've never entered the room to see.
What about on this journey?
Same. It's not somebody whose sole job is to just, deliver food to her. But
The voice picks up her food?
no, I think the voice is in too high of a position to pick up her food. It's gonna be like a handmaiden or something that comes in and grabs the food.
Well, I wonder, since we're the only retinue on the journey, maybe it's me.
Oh, that's true. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, is it you,
I never thought of
Kelly?
that. Is the voice on this trip with us?
Oh my gosh.
It's just us and the queen?
I assume the voice was with us.
I would assume so.
Like,
Yeah.
Does that make one of us as the voice? Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
I just assumed, the queen and the queen's voice was that was a package deal.
yeah, that's kind of how I was approaching it.
I mean, we can say that, but it's just I just suddenly thought that.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting avenue.
I keep forgetting that we're the only ones on this trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes cooking so much easier.
I know, right?
Yeah, it just does. You only have to cook for 6 to 7 people.
Yeah. Mhm.
Maybe we're not sure if the voice is in there or not.
Has the queen actually ever left the palanquin? I don't know if she has. I really don't think she has.
I guess it's a carriage rather than because
Carriage,
otherwise,
carriage.
Otherwise, we'd be carrying it. That's the only I
Yeah.
suddenly thought of it. I know I said palanquin earlier, and then I was
Yeah.
like, oh crap.
Yeah, that's the one people carry. No.
Yeah.
No, she don't have horses.
You know who would know is the person that delivers the food. Kelly.
That's not really time to ask her questions.
No, it wasn't a question. It was an accusation.
Oh, okay.
I'm feeling rather attacked. I would like to remove myself from this narrative.
Best relationship.
I came here to have a good time. I feel so attacked right now.
I love you.
Do you?
Should we go
Yes.
to break?
Yeah.
Do we need to take a break?
No. It's all in good fun. We're good.
Are there any more questions? Oh my god.
No.
Okay. Okay, understood. It's your turn.
Wait, whose turn is it? I'm completely lost.
Well, I think every time you pass a question, it becomes that person's turn, right? Or am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay, yeah.
now it's
So Sam
Maybe.
answered the last question, so it's
So now it's
Antisted's
Daniel's
turn now.
Why are some others at the royal court jealous of your relationship with the queen? I feel like I have to pass this one because I don't really have a relationship with the queen.
so that would be passed to me.
Pass to you, yeah.
When starting the passing comes back to bite you in the butt. Um, okay, well, I think being her only guard that's on this trip, it's not so much my relationship with the queen, but rather my relationship with the voice of the queen. I think we speak fairly regularly because I have to provide them updates with our travel and the queen's safety and my assessments. I think I bring the queen's food, apparently. And I don't actually I don't interact with the queen herself, but rather I pass it off to the voice, who passes it off to the queen. I'm the ultimate in the middleman, right? So I think it's my closeness with that relationship comes with a lot of whispers of preference and privilege. Like it's almost as if I too have the queen's ear in some way. I think people are surprised at my very sudden promotion. I think that there's something more going on there.
Don't hate me.
Oh no.
Hold on, let me get popcorn.
Is there something more going on there?
You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
Yeah, but I want there to be. I just don't know what it is. I think I think the voice of the queen and I are like distant relations. We're like second or third cousins, so something that only like someone with a shrewd eye for genealogy would like notice. But therefore there is some loyalty there. But it's distant enough that it doesn't necessarily mean that I know anything else.
Do you worry at all that there's going to be an accusation of nepotism coming up?
I think that is somewhat of a concern, but I think the bigger concern is and I mean, like, in a royal court, nepotism is like how the world functions, right? Like, that's the entire point. So I think it's not so much worried that the queen is or the voice is like that I've gotten this promotion this way because that's how you would normally get it. It's more that my loyalty to the queen is entirely based on that relationship rather than on like something more valuable or deeper, like actually appreciating her. But people don't know. People generally speaking don't know that this familial relationship is there, so it hasn't been a concern yet. But it's more about people questioning my loyalty that I'm worried about.
Do you worry at all about people questioning your competency because of it?
All day, air day.
What's worse, people questioning your loyalty or people questioning your competency?
My loyalty.
Hmm.
There are other Queen's Guard, so one of us being not as competent as the other is not like damning. But the idea that someone would question my loyalty to the Queen would make me pissy.
When you interviewed for this job, or rather when the voice started talking to you about this job that you are now doing, did you have any reason to suspect that the voice might know anything about the situation with the spy and your friend being killed, that has not yet been revealed?
I don't think I have any inkling of that. I think a fly on the wall to the moment where I turned that spy in would have noticed that the voice was unsurprised. But I would not have seen that. I'm a little too trusting.
How did your fellow guards react to you being picked to go with the Queen?
Oh. I think they were... It depends. It covered the range of motions, right? It's a fairly large group. There's probably like a dozen or so Queen's Guard. And so a few of them were kind of jealous at the opportunity. So they kind of looked at me and were angry with me. However, those maybe less... Those who Queen's Guard who are there not because of their loyalty to the Queen, but rather because of the nice fat paycheck, they saw it as a crack in the Queen's decision-making skills. Like they saw her making a mistake. So it just kind of depended on where on that loyalty line they lied. More people those that were more loyal took it out on me. Those that were not so loyal saw it as the Queen making a stupid choice for unknown reasons, and they began to question her judgment.
Yet another question has occurred to me. Who among the retinue do you think might suspect your connection to the voice?
Max.
Fair enough.
He's the one that keeps snooping around in old books and would be interested maybe on the relationship between people as to provide good information on test subjects and things like that. Right? Biology is important. #genetics. So I imagine he might have stumbled across something that maybe there's like a shared family crest or something like that that seemed suspicious.
Further questions?
Okay. Next.
Oh boy. Let's see. What do you do for the queen that anyone else can do, and why does she make you do it? So what do I do? I think I'm gonna have to pass this one because I can't think of anything that I would do specifically that anyone else could do.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna pass it.
So, I think it is something that and again, I'm not. She has me read to her sometimes. I am not completely certain why. But I have thoughts. Usually when it happens, I get called in to. I think it started when there was a document. There were some political documents that I had to go over with her, and it is one of those strange occasions in which. But in any case, so we did that, and then after that, I was requested to report to her at different, and it's never usually in this. It's not always in the same place. Sometimes it's in one of her chambers where she receives folks. Sometimes it's somewhere in the sort of. It's usually somewhere fairly private, but sometimes it's in the garden. Just depends on where she is. Once I was called into her private chambers to do it, apparently. And on those occasions, I have to keep reading until I'm done because, oddly enough, the voice is not there. Either until I'm done or she gestures to have me stop. And I think that I am not entirely certain why she has me do it. If I had to suspect a reason, I think it may be because she knows that I don't mind doing it, even though it would never be an issue with anyone. She could have anyone do it. But I think our interactions that we've had have been such that she knows that I will suffer her peculiarities and not have really any even internal protest about it. Because really, honestly, why would I? I generally try not to question it. There's just something, for some reason, I think she, just from her body language, I think she feels comfortable having me do it. It is a little strange, I guess. But it's what she wants, and for the most part, it hasn't interfered with the rest of my duties.
like any good convention goer, I have a series of 3 questions. Can the queen read and she just chooses not to, or is she illiterate?
Well, the voice has received documents from her, and my understanding is that she can read. It's there have been correspondences. She does actually apparently there are correspondences that come and go back and forth from her. She signs things. And so I'm fairly certain she can read. I've never seen her do it, but it seems to me that that yes, I mean that she was educated to be able to do so. The records at least state that.
Well, we're also not certain she has eyes.
That's fair. That's fair.
Or a face, or a body. You know, she could just be a Dementor.
It's entirely possible. No.
Have you read anything to the queen that wasn't business related?
Yes. She will occasionally come in and ask me to read poems to her. There's poetry sometimes. And occasionally there will be news items that come out. On one occasion, she had me read a letter. Most of the letters I usually read to her are political in nature, although, again, most of her correspondence, my understanding is she takes care of those herself. So I've not read a lot of her letters. But I did read one that seemed to verge on the personal. I've been sworn not to reveal its contents, of course.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And my third and final question is, does Auntie Stud's character know about your reading sessions to the queen?
I think that while it's something that we do try to be relatively quiet about, I think he suspects that it is going on. He has probably seen me approaching her chambers with books and what have you.
Have you read to her at all on this trip?
The first night that we camped or stayed somewhere. I think the first night that we had to set up, just camp on the side of the road, basically. There was apparently a point where it was going to happen. I received a note. Probably through Kelly's character. Probably through Kelly. That I then read, and I was, which I was given a time and a document that I've been asked to bring along. But that was canceled at the last minute. And I don't know what was going on there. We were supposed to meet out by a nearby lake.
So just an observation. Out of everyone, you've spent the most time with her and are also the only one that she's physically touched.
Apparently. I mean, that's what they say. Or at least that's what it seems to be the case. I'm sure she spends much more time with the voice.
Going back to an earlier answer, what kind of poetry did you read to her? And what kind of books?
Well, the queen apparently is interested in a number of different subjects. It was more toward the beginning. It was more political treatises and what have you, and various. There was a political parody poem, is kind of how we sort of ended up branching into that. More recently, I'd been reading. I think one of the last few things I read to her was a story about a knight errant. And that was a poem cycle that went on for some time. And as far as that goes, I think the last book that I was reading to her was a book on agriculture. So there was that. There has been, some of the recent poems have had a little bit of a theme to them. So the poem with the knight errant, there's usually a lost love, that kind of thing going on. No, aside from that, the books have mostly been of the non-fiction variety. I think there was one that was more of a. I don't know if this era is appropriate for mysteries, but something where it was more of a. The plot itself was more of a puzzle.
What was your favorite thing to read to the Queen?
There was a story of a young boy who goes off and meets some goblins in an enchanted tree. Wasn't really a story. It starts off as a tale somewhat meant for children, and then it sort of veers off. But the reason I liked it as much as I did is that it doesn't get too adult or anything like that, but it in either in violence or in any other ways. But there are things about the main character that remind me of my son, and it's enough of a distance from it that it's not. It brings up pleasant memories more than anything else. Are there any further questions? All right.
That means it's my turn. Totally forgot. I know order. I have the worst memory. I'm sorry.
Well, I think everyone has skipped in the last round, so.
Yeah, it's kind of gotten messed up.
Oh no, go back. Okay, there we go. You have a personal connection to the land you're traveling through. What makes you want to stay and why don't you? I don't think this is appropriate for my character, so I'm gonna pass.
Okay, that brings it to me then. So land we're traveling through. That makes me. I think this is where I grew up. I think this is where I grew up. My family, at some point or another, for some reason or another, maybe to avoid fighting, maybe to go with the winning side of something, unsure, but we came to the Queen's Land and settled down there. And I kind of want to stay in this place that we're traveling through because this was my original home. This is where I grew up. I have a lot of good memories here, but the Queen isn't staying here. The Queen's just passing through, so I gotta go with the Queen.
Does the Queen know you're from this area?
I think so. It's not really private knowledge. It's something she probably could have found out with this era's equivalent of a background check.
So is this something that, well, so do you make it public? Like while we're going through the area, do you talk about things that you recognize?
Unless the Queen would tell me to, no. I might stare wistfully at a few things. You know, there might be a scene where I'm like standing on a hill watching the countryside out with a beautiful sunset, something like that. Like, it's obvious I have a connection to the place, but unless the Queen tells me to talk about it, I'm not gonna say anything.
So we're traveling through a foreign land, I believe is how it's set up, right?
Yeah.
So if you are from this other realm, why has the Queen trusted you enough to bring you along?
I think probably because she knows about my obsession with her. She knows I'm not gonna risk her. She knows that she's my top priority in pretty much everything. Is it kind of risky bringing me along? Yeah, but out of everyone here, why would I ever betray her? She's my everything.
So is there anybody that you know or know of in this land that you think could pose a problem to our journey?
Not anything recent. Because I like to imagine family probably moved, when I was like 6 or 7, pretty young, and I'm probably late 20s now. So things have changed. And I haven't paid attention to my homeland. I was I was busy growing up in the other one.
What is your role for the queen on this journey? So what do you... I assume that there's other people that she also could potentially trust. So why did she pick you? Like, what skills are you bringing?
I think maybe a little bit of knowledge on the landscape, but I think it's more to keep an eye on me. To make sure I don't, while she's away, I don't do anything stupid or dumb or try anything that could get myself and others possibly killed. Like raiding her private chambers while she's not there, like maybe taking some of her clothes, like going to her hairbrush, picking out some of the hairs.
Does she have reason to think that you would do this?
I walked right into that one, huh?
Yup.
Not anything concrete, but I don't think she wants to take any chances.
Well, so why hasn't she had you executed yet?
No clue.
Fair answer.
I might propose an answer to this one.
Go on.
Maybe she sees you as solid cannon fodder. Always good to have someone around that will jump in front of a stray bullet.
I can see that. She's conniving enough for that. She knows how to use a tool. Any more questions?
No.
Oh, okay. On to you then, Kelly.
Okay.
Do I want to know what you're laughing about, Sam?
No.
There are shenanigans in chat.
Okay. You saved the queen's life once.
Ooh.
How? I don't think okay. Tying some storylines together here. Okay, so this incident where Max tried to slip something to the queen to test it out on her, he did so in her food, and since I bring the queen her munchies, I noticed that something was off and suggested she not eat it. So I didn't necessarily save her life, but I may have saved her from severe stomach pain. Which I see as having saved her life.
Did I recognize that this was slipped into food that I presumably prepared?
I don't know, did you?
How dare you turn it back on me?
I'll say that I managed to slip it in somewhere directly after. I would say, so I guess it would be as Kelly was delivering it. So it would be after the meal was prepared, but before it actually got to the queen.
Makes sense.
I had to tie a shoe or something. Put it down for a second. Yeah, and so I brought it to the queen's attention.
How did you figure out that it had been messed with?
Smelled weird. I have a keen nose. Which Sam knows is a blatant lie about me personally. It's the purpose of RPG games is to live the dream, right?
So, who did you tell? And do you think anything's going to be done about it?
I told you. Seeing as this was the queen's dinner, so you were leaving from one of your reading sessions right as I was arriving, so we crossed paths. And since the voice was not around to speak to, and I didn't want to overstep my role and speak directly to the queen, I informed you instead.
Okay. Do you think I'm going to do anything about it?
Well, I believe based on what Max said previously about this incident, that the queen did find out, and she does know that he was being troublesome, right?
Yes.
So you must have told her. So there's some kind of doing something.
Okay.
Whether or not you would seek some kind of retribution upon Max for that, I would leave that up to your loyalty to the queen. I don't know.
Excellent question.
Any other questions?
Right, I guess it's my turn again. Let's see. Ooh. The queen sometimes shows interest in your personal life. How do you respond to that? Why? So I think I'm definitely not open about my personal life, at least with the queen. If only because most of my personal life just kind of revolves around me doing amoral scientific experiments. So, and I'm kind of reticent to share that with the queen. And I would say that while I am hesitant, I share as much about my personal life as she wants me to without it being like directly incriminating. And I would say that I do it relatively openly, if only because this is one of the few times where someone gets to kind of directly interact with the queen, or speak with the queen. And so part of it is me just kind of studying how she interacts with people. And then also part of it is just kind of keeping an eye on her, because I'm fairly certain that she's keeping an eye on me. So it just kind of makes sense that it's in both of our best interests to kind of just know as much about each other as we can.
So it seems like through your studies and your interactions with the queen, you have come to know quite a bit about her. It also seems like she's brought along a lot of people on this journey with questionable loyalties. Why is the queen so confident in her own safety, given this group of people?
Well, so I would say that I still don't have much concrete knowledge about the queen herself, and I think Auntie said earlier that he is more in love with the mystery of her, but doesn't know it. I think I am in love with the mystery of her, and I'm very aware of it. And I think she's also very aware of it. And because she knows that I wouldn't let anything happen to her, because that would then endanger me knowing more about her. So I think that's most of the reason why she trusts me. And I think she knows that if I were to kind of get to the bottom of the mystery that is the queen, I would almost immediately lose all interest in her. And that would be kind of the end of my loyalty as far as she's concerned. So I think that's kind of why she keeps me with her, because it gives me less time to kind of do my own research and more time for her to kind of keep an eye on me. Because I think out of the 5 of like all of us, I think I'm the only one who's not like directly loyal to her, I would say. It seems like everyone else is pretty loyal to her.
So, have you ever told her anything about yourself that has that has surprised the queen?
I think I told her about my childhood and about my family life. And I think just how forthcoming I was with that information, I think was kind of shocking to her. At least from what I could tell of her body language, I think she was kind of just taken aback. Not necessarily with the content. I don't think it was anything super horrific or anything. I think she just didn't expect me to be so forthcoming with it. But I think that's the reason I was so forthcoming with it, is because I don't really acknowledge it as like super relevant.
When it comes to these questions that the queen asks you about, what kinds of things does she ask you about, generally speaking? Is it your relationships with other people? Is it your history, your present?
It's a little bit of everything. I think I would say immediately after that first incident, a lot of it was about my history, just so she could kind of figure out, am I from the realm? Am I another spy? Things like that. And then I would say that kind of once she sussed out my motivations, it became more about my past or my present and kind of like what I am researching currently, things like that. I think part of the reason why she had Jim's character kind of read some of those agriculture books is because she got those recommendations from me. So things like that. I think there is certainly, I would say, kind of like a mutual respect with each other's intelligence, and that I think she kind of like respects how knowledgeable I am, and I definitely respect the power that she wields, and also just kind of the intelligence that she has.
Okay. Any further questions? Alright, I'm gonna go again. You were summoned to a private meeting with the Queen once. Why did you feel disappointed afterward? I guess this might have been a reading session. I think the way in which she disappointed me was, or why I felt disappointed afterwards, was that we had only gotten a bit of the ways in when we were interrupted by the voice. And obviously it wasn't a problem. I mean, we had to do what we had to do, but I think that the voice didn't approve of the materials. And I think that I don't know if there was an argument that went on afterward. I have no idea, but I was sent out of the room.
Spicy.
Did this happen before or after you got slapped?
This was after. This was the readings have happened after.
Was it recently after, or did it follow closely after, or no?
It was not too long after that incident. I had done a few readings for her by that point. And we were starting to get in... That was when we were starting to get into other materials. I think it was actually... Now that I think of it, I think it actually was the first poem that she asked me to read.
Do you have any sense of why the voice disapproved of this reading material?
Oh man. So I don't know. I don't think my character would answer that question. But the answer is that at that point there was perhaps some degree of jealousy involved.
Jealousy from the voice?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna take my turn. If that's all the questions.
Yep.
Oh. I don't know if I want to know. Oh gosh. There is a part of you that does not want peace in this land. Why are you attached to the war? Is there a war? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody's saying yes.
Yeah.
I think that was like
Yeah.
one of the first cards in
Yeah.
the instructions.
Oh, was
Yeah,
it? Okay.
Yeah, I think that is part of the premise, is that there's war going on. Yeah, that's right. The land has been at war for as long as you can remember. I think
Yeah.
it's
Oh.
something along those lines, or as long as you've been alive.
This is again my great memory serving me well. I think, oh gosh, this is going to be a very simple answer, but the longer you are at war, the less people there are in the kingdom, the less guards there are in the court, the less mouths you have to feed. And the guards, I feel, do not truly appreciate my cooking. And so I'm kind of just done with the most of them. Like, I'm not like, I don't dislike them. I just, I couldn't care less.
So you're okay with the war continuing because it means you don't have to put up with these idiots anymore.
Yeah, like I don't have to feed, like, right, my cooking is not going to waste.
Is this a sentiment you've expressed to people?
No, it's something I keep to myself. Like I said, it's not a like super strong opinion. It's just like one where I'm like, okay, yeah, it's not the worst thing to happen.
That's all I got.
I'm good.
My turn then. Oh, okay. The queen is not your queen. Why do you serve her anyway? I'm gonna have to pass that because that's contradictory to the entire character I've built so far.
I know you're from another land, so.
True. True.
I mean, you can still pass if you want, but I thought about that.
I'm too obsessed. No, she's my queen. Yeah, I have to pass.
So I think it would go to Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm thinking that maybe if you want to go ahead and answer that, and then I think we might take another quick break after that, if that's all right with folks.
I think maybe I'm actually a refugee from another royal family who has come. Like my family came here after a coup, and so I was raised to be very loyal to the original ruling family from where I'm from, but they've been ousted, basically. If they were to come back to power, maybe things would be different. But this kingdom allowed us to resettle here, and I was able to work my way up. And so that's why I'm loyal to this new home.
Do you think that...
Also, I have distant relations here, so there's a connection to the land to begin with.
Do you think that might be part of the reason that you've been having a lot of trouble making friends?
Yeah. I think I have a different background, maybe a different way of doing things. Sometimes, and so that makes it challenging to connect with the people here.
Was this coup does it have anything to do with the war that's going on?
Yeah, I think this kingdom, we had an allied kingdom that actually the royal family was ousted for continuing to take part in the war. So it was somewhat like a peasant uprising to take down the royal family to help them get out of the war. My family were minor nobles, so we wanted to continue the status quo, though.
So did the Voices family, so like your distant relatives, leave before that? Or at the same time?
I think they left a long time ago. So I think we're distant relatives by like marriage. So like by royal family alliances, tying one kingdom to another through marrying off lower level noble families.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
All right, we're going to have another quick break, and we will be back very shortly. We will see you soon. folks, we have returned. We're gonna we figured out what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna make this keep going, and until we hit Antidote's turn, then we're going to perhaps that'll be an end. Go ahead.
All right. What makes the queen beautiful in your eyes? I think I've touched on it before, but I think what makes her beautiful to me is the mystery of the queen. Just the fact that, for the most part, I feel like I've been able to figure out, or at least, yeah, I feel like I've been able to figure out most other things or people that I want to figure out. But this one mystery eludes me, and she seems to have eluded people for a very long time now. So it's more than just like not understanding something. It's something that she has convinced people that they don't need to understand it. They just kind of need to like bend the knee and just to be loyal to her. And I think that's kind of, I don't want to say that that's what I want, but it's something that I do find very admirable, and I think very beautiful, is that she can kind of instill that loyalty without people needing to understand.
Have you not been curious how that process works, and have you been studying it?
I would say that that's something that I don't think my character like has understood as a process yet. I think that's something that kind of eludes him, and that's probably one of the like final pieces to understanding the queen. I think that maybe spending all of this time surrounded by people who are very loyal to the queen, like the four of you are very loyal to the queen, and unlike me, don't really seem to worry about anything else besides like your life and your loyalty to the queen. So I think that that's something that I find very interesting, that I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily studying yet, but it is something that is more on my radar now.
Do you want to understand it out of pure interest or out of wanting to replicate it?
Ooh.
Or wanting to break it? That's another option.
I wouldn't say it's so much replicate it as I want to understand it, and then maybe I would want to see if I could do it and maybe do it better. But that's more of an ego thing. That's not even necessarily. It's also very likely that once I understand it, I move on to something else. But there is very much the chance that if I understand how to do it, I will also want to replicate it. But I don't think breaking it is even something that I would consider. Like, I don't, for the most part, I don't see any harm to what the queen is doing. She's not impeding me, really, so I don't really see any reason to try and stop her. Also, the four of you would try to stop me, and that just sounds like a lot of trouble.
Okay, if we have no further questions, I shall draw. When was the last time the Queen hurt you?
I would like to not count the slap for this one.
No. So I'm trying to decide how much to say here. When was the last time the Queen hurt you? We had to, it was actually on this trip. When we had to cancel the reading we were going to do. As I've grown rather fond of those meetings. And that sort of signals to me that things might be changing. And I kind of don't want them to at this point.
How much reading gets done in these readings?
It varies. It depends on a couple of different factors. Sometimes we get through a whole document. It just depends on how things are going and how long the Queen can stay.
Did the Queen seem to be enjoying the readings?
I think so.
Why do you think this last one was canceled?
I think it has something to do with where we're going. I think it has something to do with what we're having to do when we get there. And how things are going to be perceived when that happens. And how many cards are going to have to be put onto the table with the foreign power that we're going to be visiting. There's going to be a need to do things differently when we're there. And in a way, I think that this was kind of preparing us for that. Any further questions? All right.
Okay. You saw the Queen do something terrible to keep the retinue safe. What was it? Did you come to respect her more or less afterward? So I don't think I saw the Queen do anything directly because I have never seen, really directly seen the Queen. I think I saw her, there were some beggars on the side of the road, and she sent Kelly's character out to kind of take care of them and not pay them. I don't mean pay them. And I think, and it's because she thought there was a threat. However, it was a cold-blooded killing that she asked Kelly's character to do. And I do think I lost respect for her after that happened. I don't think that it would have made me lose any respect for Kelly's character because I can empathize with carrying out orders and just doing what you're told. But I think I did lose some respect for the queen because there are other ways that it could have been handled.
Would you say your character was disappointed in the queen?
Absolutely.
How would you have handled it?
I mean, you can imprison people, you can ignore them while keeping an eye on them, but not having them do anything to provoke you. You could literally, like, there's a whole bunch of other things to do as opposed to just outright killing them.
How do you feel about, I guess, like other stories of the Queen's kind of cruelty or draconian law?
The same. I don't I don't have much respect for the queen in that regard. My loyalty to her comes out of more of duty and the fact that I have nowhere else to go. And so the fact that I hear these stories of cruelty does not sit well with me.
Would this have been your first time kind of seeing this kind of like bloodshed in person?
Yeah. In the palace, I tend to like keep to myself and like my quarters and kitchen, and so I don't ever witness. I don't really get the chance to witness anything, and I think I actively avoid doing that.
You're not going to the public execution.
Right.
Okay. Good. All right.
My turn then?
Yep.
What do you do that pleases the queen on this journey? Is it even possible for me to do that anymore? I think I point out landmarks of the place we're traveling through because we determined earlier that I wasn't from the Queen's Kingdom. I originally came from elsewhere, so I would know a few landmarks, and I point them out and just talk cheerily, not necessarily to the Queen because she's not outside, but to everyone else and possibly the voice. And I think that pleases the Queen because it shows that I can care about something other than her.
Did you show her anything that she reacted particularly well to?
Inadvertently, might have pointed out a place that, like a natural choke point, like maybe a narrow pass between mountains or a narrow valley. So something she can tactically use in worst case scenario. Completely on accident. Like I'm not realizing that, but she's getting useful information out of this.
Is there anything you chose not to point out to us?
What secrets aren't you telling us?
If we pass by the place I grew up. I mean, if it's grown to a big enough size, I pointed out it's kind of difficult not to, but I'm not going to say that I'm from there. But
Do we have any more questions? Okay. So, therefore, everyone must answer this question. The Queen is under attack. Do you defend her? And if you like, you can elaborate. The rules don't really specify. We can talk about our various headcanons afterwards if we wish, but here is the question.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You can go, Kevin.
Isn't I?
Yes. I defend the Queen. But I think I also try to defend the voice. And being split between the two makes me a less than ideal defense.
I think I defend the Queen. Because like I said, if she's dead, I can't solve the mystery that is the Queen. And if this is the ambush that I set up, and she lives and I don't defend her, then that looks very bad for me. So I think either way, I kind of have to defend her. Yeah.
I do, but it's complicated.
Elaborate, please.
I don't want to necessarily throw my headcanon over anything that Sam might have to say about it, though.
We can circle back.
Yeah, please do. I would like to see this now. I'm intrigued.
Okay, so here is my thought, and we do not necessarily have to say that this is in fact the case, but here is my thought. I'm going to defend the actress who has been playing the Queen, because that's the person that I am in fact in love with. The Queen is more properly, I think, the voice. Officially. Well, by birth. But she also, of course, has very strong fondness for the person who has been embodying the Queen. In some ways, the Queen is more of an idea. One is the body, the other is the voice. And that is, if it comes down to it, I'm not trying to, I don't want despite my bit of rivalry perhaps with the voice, I'm not going to, I'm not going to try to get her killed or anything, but when it comes down to it and I have to choose, I am choosing the person who embodies the Queen.
We had very similar headcanons.
Yeah.
And, yeah, you know, reading happens for a while and then other things happen, but, yeah.
I'm so glad my most burning question was answered.
Question, though. Anti-stud.
Yeah.
While you're saying you defend the Queen,
Yeah.
do you defend Jim's character? Or do you let him, you know...
Nah, fuck that. All y'all can be replaced. We can't replace the Queen.
Well, I mean, we can't.
I was thinking, like, or maybe do you, like, trip him into someone else's sword, perhaps?
Do I know about... I do know about the readings.
It's pretty public that he's spent a lot of
Yeah.
private time with the Queen.
I mean, when it gets personal, I don't consider her the Queen anymore at that point. There's a very clear separation, but, you know, maybe not everyone outside sees that.
She's your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she is blonde.
She's your friend. She's your friend. Mhm.
Can confirm she is a blonde.
I mean, crazy things can happen in combat. It's pretty chaotic. You never know what's gonna happen. I think my character is obsessed enough. I'm not sure, but if the opportunity arose, he might take it. Which would suck, but yeah.
Did Sam answer the question?
I did not.
Do you defend the Queen?
I don't know how is my problem.
You're a cook.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Yeah,
You have knives?
that's fair.
Yeah, I have knives, but like I don't like.
Feel free to say no. It's not your job.
No. I mean, like I think that like my character literally would just be like, I don't know how to do this, and not defend the Queen.
Yeah, because
I
you
think-
can.
Yeah, and I also like I think that it's kind of like
That's fair.
understood. Yeah, like it's not something
Yeah.
that I'm gonna go be put on trial for.
No, you're the cook. Why would you fight?
Dive under the wagon. Wait for it to blow over.
I mean, pretty much, yeah. That's, both Sam and the cook would do this.
Well, I think that answers everything.
Yeah, that's pretty much answered it for me as well. I would defend the queen, and to be specific, I would defend the queen. I wouldn't defend the voice. I wouldn't defend any of you. I would defend the queen. If it was one of you for the queen, I would gladly take that.
Nice. This is sort of interesting afterward, because then if the voice ends up dying, then that's who kind of by lineage is actually the queen.
Yeah, that would
then
be
mean,
awkward.
Then does that mean that that Kelly becomes the queen? Because she's the nearest relative.
Kelly has always been the queen, and
Uh-oh.
I feel like this. You can fight me on this. Kelly has always been the queen, and this is how it will.
Surprise, we're the queen.
I propose if the voice dies, we fake my death. I become the actress queen, and the actual queen who seems to know what the fuck is going on becomes the voice.
That's how successors happen.
We just swapsies.
Training position.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's not a bad plan, actually.
Yeah, that works. Oh my god.
No, I could see it. I could see it.
That works. Wow. Okay, that was awesome. We are at the end here, and thank you so much for playing this with me. I never had a chance, and now I'm so glad that I did. This is great. This is really great. We're gonna go around. We're gonna do our outros. So we're gonna go the opposite way we started. So feel free to say any final thoughts about the game and where folks can find you. And we will start with Andy Stud.
Okay, I'm Andy Stud. You can find me at Sir Andy Stud on Twitter. I mostly just like and retweet stuff I like. As for the game, wow, that was incredible. I'm still a little bit upset that I ended up just being an obsessed jerk the entire time. That's my fault for taking it that direction, though, so... I want to play it again, both because I enjoyed this, and to try someone that's actually likable.
Nice. That still was very cool, actually. I kind of liked how things came out with your character. That was interesting. Yeah, it's fair. It's fair. We can, hopefully. Likeability will happen. Likeability will happen. Let us move on to Sam.
Oh, hi. I'm Sam. I'm smallish Sam. This was really fun. I don't know. I liked everything about this and all the conspiracies that everybody in chat, not just me, was throwing out during the game. Yeah, you can find me on Mondays on Scraticus Academy, 2 p.m. I run a Call of Cthulhu game. You can also check out my Twitter. I cannot promise that I will stop yelling about soccer even though the World Cup is over. So enjoy.
Excellent. Let's move on to Max.
I think the game was pretty great. I like that I made the queen much more mysterious than she actually is. So that's fun for me. I have a Twitter, I guess. MXML, that's about it.
I just gotta say, it was really cool that that thing that you did near the very beginning, where you sort of we sort of made it certain that it was like no one has actually ever seen what the queen looks like. So that was really cool. But I think that opened a floodgate of ideas for it. It was really nice. So thank you for coming for the first time and playing on this channel. This was awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And we will now move on to Kelly.
Oh, hi. I'm Kelly, at aKellyLean on Twitter. You can find me Monday nights on Scratica's Academy at 10:30 p.m. EST, running D&D 5e Tilt campaign. 2 more episodes left. You can catch the whole thing on YouTube. It's lots of feels. You can find me Wednesdays, also on Scratica's Academy, also 2 episodes left, 7 p.m. EST, loosely playing a masks game. I don't know. We're just kind of making it up as we go. But it's super fun. We're all teenage superheroes. You can also find my work on DM's Guild, soon to be a lot more of it on DM's Guild, but right now highlighting Uncaged Volume 1, nominated for an Annie Award for Best Electronic Book or something. Uncaged Volume 2, out now. I edited for both volumes. I'm editing for Volumes 3 and 4. Highly recommend. Also, keep an eye out for a soon-to-be-released tome of diverse NPCs that are super fun, cover a lot of diversity spectrums, a lot of dimensions of diversity. Every single one of them has been read by a sensitivity reader. It's a great project to be a part of. So I'm editing for that too, and we should be getting to announce stuff about that soon.
Awesome. That's really great. Very cool. Well, folks, once again, I'm Jim Ryan. I am delighted I finally got to play this game, and I'm so delighted I'm going to be playing it again in a week. You can find me at OtherDoc on Twitch and Twitter. My website is jim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I've got links down below to my website, Twitter, YouTube channel, and what have you. Tomorrow I'm going to be over on Tales from the Grim. But before I even talk about that, I've just received a note that we didn't. Yes, Kelly, I'm sorry. Did you have anything that you wanted to any final thoughts about the game? Because I'm an idiot and I just started talking.
No, I forgot that I was supposed to do that. My outro is getting longer every time I do it. Eventually I'll be one of those people.
Too late.
Rude. Favorite part about the game, I really enjoyed this. So the last time I played For the Queen, I was definitely like a poisoner, assassin, spy. So like being like Captain Wholesome a little bit was new for me, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting to make everybody else look like the bad guy.
Excellent. That was really cool. I'm so glad you were able to come back and play. This was awesome. Having it and having everyone together. This was awesome. As for me, yes, tomorrow I'm going to be over on Tales from the Grim, and that evening finishing up my my guest spot over there on their Urban Shadows game, Bad Moon Rising. On Wednesday over here on my channel, I believe we're going to be doing a downtime session for the Invisible Sun campaign that I'm running, The Edge of Paradox. We're going to get Danielle in here since she couldn't. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to make the kickoff of our RP sessions yesterday. So we're gonna do our first official development mode session with her, and possibly 1 or 2 others. On Thursday, we're going to start off our short campaign this month of Bad Streets, a 1970s cop show powered by the apocalypse. And then on the weekends, I play video games. On Friday night, I'm going to be over on Off the Table, playing in their Urban Shadows campaign because I'm horribly addicted to that game. It's set in the 1890s, and I'm playing a brothel owner who works for a demon. It's delightful. That's at off_the_table. And then back, of course, on Saturday, Saturday night, we have our regular session of Invisible Sun. And then finally, 1 week from today, we will have another one-shot of For the Queen, when we will have some new folks in, 4 new folks in, and we're gonna take another spin at it, and I cannot wait. Also, sign-ups currently are ongoing. They are on the website, or you can click on the link down below. Right now, the sign-ups for the next For the Queen session are only at it's full, so it's only for alternates. at this point, unfortunately. But I also have signups open for Avarice, which is happening later in the month. Matt is coming back to run that, and that's basically The Quiet Year meets Dwarf Fortress with elements of Dread and Blades in the Dark. It seems it's a comedy game basically about a bunch of dwarves building a fortress and what terrible things happen to them over that period of time. And so I'm very keen to see how that's going to go. If you want to sign up for that, we definitely need players, so feel free to do so, as I think it's going to be a lot of fun. As always, beginners are welcome. Well, when we hit the end card, I'm going to send a raid over to Tales from the Grim. They are playing in a charity game right now. It's a Marvel superheroes game, but it's inspired by the original system, but it's a Powered by the Apocalypse type thing that they've put together, and so I think it will be fascinating to take a look at that. So I'm going to go ahead and send a raid over there. Feel free to come with us and say hi if you so desire. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching, folks. Take care, and I will see you all of a sudden. Farewell.